Banging on a trash can. Hey!
Damn it. I swear, if I have to listen to that stupid song one more time, I'll fuck.
It made you love it. Banging on a trash can.
Welcome back to another stream from Tachyon Lance. Today we'll be talking about the Toxoid Species Pack and should you buy it? Should you buy the Toxoid Species Pack? Well, at the moment it depends on a number of factors, so it's a maybe. If I was new to Stellaris, I would be focusing on buying the expansions such as Utopia, Apocalypse, Nemesis, Federations, Overlord. Investing your money in those larger expansions will add more value to the game. It gives you a lot more features to the game than what a species pack does. So if money is a issue for you and you don't want to spend too much money, then I would focus on the major expansion packs first prior to looking at the species packs. And there are quite a number of species packs now, so you can then pick and choose which ones you think you want to play, and you can do it over a period of time. You could try one species pack, play around with the different builds for a number of months, and then buy another one and progress down that path to whatever your preferred playstyle is. For me, I do have the Toxoid Species Pack. I buy all the expansions from Paradox simply because I love Paradox games pretty much, and Stellaris is one of my favorites, so I like supporting Paradox. I like playing the game, and now I like reviewing the game and trying all these different build styles. So let's have a look at Toxoids quickly and what it has to offer. So first up, this is just one of the species that I played with recently. Let's have a look at the traits. So for this species, I'm using elevated synapses, which is one of the major traits that we can use, plus 20% on your science. Then you've got population growth speed, plus 30% for pre-planned growth. Now you do have quite a number of new traits that you can use. So the one thing about Toxoid Species Pack is it does offer quite a lot of new traits that you can see here. You can see we've got juiced power for increased army damage and worker pop output, dedicated miner for minerals output, which is plus 15%, and note that these are only 1 point. Technical talent, plus 15% energy, but you will see the minus 10 years across these 1.1s. Amenities, plus 15% for crafted smiles, minus 10% consumer goods upkeep for low maintenance, augmented intelligence for plus 10% research, gene mentorship for plus 25% leader experience, express tradition, plus 10% unity from pops, elevated synapses, which we just talked about, excessive endurance, which is 3 points, and it gives plus 30% habitability, plus 5% from jobs. And then you've also got the pre-planned growth there, which will slot in there. Now on top of this, you do have a number of other traits that you can use. Incubators, which is quite good, gives you a plus 30% population growth speed buff early on when your colonies are small, then declining over time, and eventually as your colonies reach a high population, you're at minus 10%. Inorganic breath, where it gives you a bit of gas for each pop that you have, 0.2, so it does add up over a period of time, but you do need quite a few pops to make it worthwhile. But if you want lots of gas without having to trade for it or build for it, your pops can provide that, and it doesn't mean you have to spend pops building them. Noxious adds 30% minimum habitability and minus 30% habitability cap, so you're going to colonize worlds between 70 and 40% range, unless you've got other habitability bonuses in your species which increases that. 50% army damage does increase your housing usage by 10%, minus 1% for per noxious pop happiness, and happiness per non-noxious pop is 2%. So as you can see, that there's quite a few traits there to play around with and lots of different builds. So there's a lot of different combinations, and if you watch a couple of my videos, I've already played out a number of different combinations and what you can do with the species if you want to. Another part of the Toxoids update is mutagenic spars, which adds plus 1% population growth speed per industrial district per worker. So what that means, if you build a mutagenic spar, you'll have 2 bath attendants, and it will offer a base growth with no workers of 2%, and then it adds 2% per 2 workers per industrial district. So if you have 10 industrial districts, you're going to end up with 22% population growth. Now, it also, in this case, reduces happiness by 0.5% and habitability by 0.5%. But there are a number of ways you can get around that by stacking habitability and also having some happiness bonuses to your race. And there is a few things I've discussed in some of my other videos, so do watch them and you'll see some of them. Some of the robot species I've used have been hyperlubrication basin is the equivalent for machine species, which does plus 1% population growth assembly speed per industrial district, but plus 1% amenities per industrial district. In this case, you probably want to use, because you're going to end up with quite a few maintenance drones, so you might want to put in maintenance protocols here, as you're going to get a lot of Unity bonus from using those extra maintenance drones. So you're going to need the maintenance drone to boost your pop speed, so you might as well get really good use of those maintenance drones and boost your Unity, which is one of the key weaknesses of a machine race. It's low Unity at the start of the game compared to biological races. So this is a way to help to offset that. If that's the way you want to go, you go hyperlubrication basin and maintenance protocols. They both work well together. So you do have permutation pools with hive minds, which gives plus 1.5% biological pop assembly speed, but habitability minus 0.75% per industrial district. So you just have to balance these bonuses with some of the negatives for what you like, but they can be very useful depending on the purpose. And one of the things I've found, particularly with the machine race, is you can use these. Notice that it says pop assembly speed per industrial district. You don't actually have to operate that industrial district with population to get the benefit. So you could, for instance, have a couple of smaller planets which aren't that useful to you for much else. You might have a bunch of industrial districts on there. You can put just a couple of replicator jobs, a couple of maintenance workers, and just build a whole bunch of industrial districts there with your hyperlubrication basin workers. And so you've got about 6 pops, and you're going to get the increased population growth from those planets. So that could be useful to do for a bunch of planets that you don't really want to micromanage. You just want to build pops, and then you can deploy them to your bigger planets to use. So that is another way to increase your population growth in that mid sort of game time frame to move into the late game if you want to really ramp up your population growth speed in your empire. So that's one possibility. So that's some of the traits and civics that come with the Toxoids update or species pack. You do also get a whole range of new portraits. They are quite nice, quite funny, some of them. Yeah, have a good look at them. Now look at that, it's quite, he's a little cute fella, isn't he? Some of them are quite ugly, look at him. Yeah, he looks like a half, this looks robotic, doesn't he? You know, a bit of biological in there, that one. So you do have some really nice portraits to play with. That's like a, what would that be? That's like that Darth Vader in his tube or something, or maybe the Matrix. You can also, with the Toxoids update, change their colours. You notice some of the species have masks and some different attachments, so you can actually change them. You can see here, now he's got some goggles, different types of goggles. And we also have a machine Toxoid, which is this one here. And you can actually change the clothing for the machines and the appearance quite substantially. Then we have the ship set, the Toxoids here. It's quite nice ship set, quite different to the other ones in their colouring and style. To me, it looks a bit like Star Wars. Yeah, you remember some of those the ships on the planet where they're going to feed Luke Skywalker to what's that big creature in the ground there where they eat everyone, they throw them in there. Looks a bit like those. It was in The Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I think they look a little bit like that. That one looks like a pregnant whale a bit, the battleship, but still looks pretty cool. I do like the styling of it. And that looks, I really like that, the Titan. I think that looks really cool. I really like that. Construction ship, colony ship. carrying all the toxic waste to colonize a new planet. Science, Citadel. It's even got the it's a similar feature. They must carry all the toxic waste in these containers that you see in pretty much all the builds. Colossus. It looks a little bit similar to the Toxic God, actually. It's like a metallic version of the Toxic God. So if you've seen the Toxic God, you can have a look on some of my videos. I've got a video on it. This looks very similar to that, just without the tentacles. And it's obviously a machine, not a biological. It must have taken the imagination from that. Juggernaut. Quite unique Juggernaut. It's not asymmetric from the front. You can see here, you got this big eye or cannon, probably a big cannon, I imagine. From the front it's not asymmetrical, but from the back it is symmetrical. So it's quite different to the other Juggernauts. So, should you buy the Toxoid update? Well, yes and no. As I said before, get the expansions first. If you've got the expansions and you just like buying the species pack for different variety of species to play with, this does add quite a lot of traits and a number of civics you can use. So, which adds a number of unique buildings as well that you can build, and you can try and min-max them to get the most out of your species. There are, it is a different type of play style. You've got the new origins. Should mention them as well. We shouldn't forget the origins, because to pick the overtuned traits you need them, which were those civics I mentioned. Knights of the Toxic God, if the new origin overturned, which is all those civics and traits I just showed you, so that pretty much, it's all based on maximizing your economy at the cost of leader lifespan and basically the planet. And you can see when you start with overtune, you do start with gene tailoring at the start, so you do have the ability to modify your species from the very beginning, which is quite good. You get that extra pop point, and you can muck around at that very early on, particularly if you manage to get some other genetic traits quite early in the game. Knight of the Toxic God is more a role-playing start. It is quite difficult in the beginning, but there is, if you like your lore, if you like your role-playing, then there's a lot of different ways you can play Knights of the Toxic God. You get lots of knights, you get the squires, the Lord Commanders, the whole event chain, which does add a lot of bonuses. And with the finishing, how it ends, there's a number of potential play styles that you can play from that mid-game around, probably finish it between 80 to 100 years, depending on your funding levels and how many knights you get. Because the amount of knights you get increases the amount of points you put into the situation, which increases the time that you'll be able to complete it in. So if you like role-playing, yep, Knights of Toxic God is probably one of the best, I guess, event chains. So for a species pack, you do get quite a lot in it. So for the amount of money you need to spend, I think it's a worthwhile investment. If you've got those other expansions, I would invest in the Toxoid species pack. Now, whether you want Toxoids, or you want humanoids, or you want planetoids, or lithoids, it's completely up to you. Depends what game style you like. But it is a good species pack to buy, and I don't get paid by anyone to say that. That's just my own opinion. But I would get the expansions. I would get the expansions first prior to buying any of the species updates. But if you've got a little bit of money to spend, do look at all the species packs and decide which ones you want to buy. Always good for a birthday present or a Christmas present if someone's going to gift you something. So if you have enjoyed this stream, do hit that like button. You should see some other videos now on your screen above you, which are just some videos which I've made recently. So if you like to watch some of them, click on them. Do hit the like button. It helps me with the algorithm and getting more people to watch my channel, and for me to make more content for you guys to watch. I'll see you next time.